Misinformation is a specter haunting every level of our society, capable of distorting reality and skewing perceptions on a vast scale. Each day, fabricated narratives and twisted truths ripple outwards, touching everything from individual opinions to national policies. This isn't merely an informational problem, it's a societal one, demanding a concerted strategic reaction to mitigate its potentially catastrophic impacts. Unpacking how we can counteract the influx of misinformation is not just useful. It's imperative for the health of our public discourse and the very fabric of democratic engagement. To navigate this labyrinthine challenge, a layered approach is essential, a triadic framework that exposes falsehoods, restores truth, and empowers public discourse. By unraveling these threads in concert, we can begin to remedy the entangled web misinformation weaves across our cognitive landscapes and societal structures. Misinformation does not rest. It is dynamic, evolving ceaselessly to adapt to new channels and technologies. Its proliferation is facilitated by the digital transformation overwhelmingly dominating our means of communication. The stakes are incredibly high. From influencing elections to undermining public health initiatives, the power of false narratives can lead to real-world consequences that are often difficult, if not impossible, to reverse. Both developed and developing nations grapple with the ramifications of misinformation, which does not discriminate by geography or demography. In this wide-reaching game, there is an urgent need for a sophisticated counter-strategy that evolves as quickly as the misinformation it aims to combat.
The initial step in our triadic approach is uncovering the truth. To oppose misinformation effectively, one must first identify it, acutely aware of its origins, mediums, and mutations. This requires analytical techniques that go beyond mere fact-checking, encompassing a broader discursive analysis to understand the motives and agendas driving the dissemination of false information. Using technological tools like artificial intelligence and big data analysis, we can automate some of these tasks, accelerating the process of exposing questionable narratives. Yet the human element remains irreplaceable, necessitating trained professionals who can navigate the nuanced terrains of language, intent, and implication.
Having identified and exposed misinformation, the even tougher task is to correct the public's misconceptions and rebuild trust in authentic information sources. The restoration phase involves both the retraction of false statements and the proactive dissemination of factual information. Educational initiatives play a key role here, integrating critical thinking and media literacy into curriculums from an early age. For adults, continuous public awareness campaigns can help recalibrate understanding and appreciation for truth.
The third strand: empowering public discourse. Empowerment in this context means providing the public with the tools and platforms necessary for them to discern truth from falsehood on their own. It's about fostering an environment where open, informed discussions can flourish and where credible sources are both valued and accessible. Through community-driven approaches and enhanced public participation in media creation, individuals can become not just consumers of information, but also producers and validators of it.
Patterns of interaction, coexistence, stabilization, and causality. Misinformation, truth restoration, and empowered discourse do not operate in silos. Their effectiveness depends on their interactions, sometimes coexisting tensely, sometimes stabilizing one another. For instance, as misinformation evolves, so must our strategies to expose and correct it, which in turn recalibrates the empowerment component. Understanding these dynamics is critical to refining our approaches and ensuring they are as impactful as possible.
Real-world examples. From the retraction of the infamous weapons of mass destruction narrative to the ongoing battles against COVID-19 misinformation, real-world cases provide valuable insights into the application and effectiveness of our triadic approach. These examples highlight both successes and areas where adjustments are necessary, underscoring the need for a dynamic, responsive strategy.
The battle against misinformation is not just about preserving the truth. It's about safeguarding the very principles of our society.
As such, policymakers must integrate counter-misinformation strategies into national security, education, and public health policies. Proactive and preventative measures are essential for a resilient public informational ecosystem.
Conclusion: the path forward. Confronting misinformation requires a robust, nuanced strategy that evolves at the pace of the misinformation it seeks to combat. By adhering to the triadic approach, exposing falsehoods, restoring truth, and empowering discourse, we create a foundation upon which a more enlightened, informed society can be built. In a world ever complicated by new media forms and their potential for misuse, this comprehensive strategy offers not just a shield but a beacon, the promise of a society anchored in truth and transparency.